Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining my talk, where we're going to be talking about driving new revenue streams through NLP. I hope everything's well in London. And if you're joining us virtually, that you're having a wonderful day wherever you are. So just to give you guys a background, my name's Shee. I'm currently the VP Corporate Development and Strategy at SAMA. And I've been working in this space for several years, focused on AI and natural language processing and figuring out ways to unlock value through the implementation of cutting edge research and practical applications of artificial intelligence. And I was previously a host of the AI Element, which really kind of took key themes and tried to deconstruct them in ways that were easy to understand. Because AI is a really large field and it's difficult to get all the nuances, but also to see the opportunities, the business opportunities that are there. So today, the objective is really to go through three things. One, what is the NLP Market Outlook? Two, some business impact stories. So how does that actually drive value for businesses? And then third, I want to ask you a question. I want to maybe have you guys think and reflect about, what is ethical NLP? And beyond driving revenues, what are some of the things that you should be thinking about as a business leader in this field? So the NLP Market Outlook. I mean, natural language processing, what is it trying to solve? So there are really two main areas of focus to think about. The academic one, which is really the goal to make human language, which is complex, ambiguous, and extremely diverse, easy for machines to understand. But commercially, the goal is to make human language into a new human-machine interaction model to decrease costs and increase new sources of revenue. That's a huge market. The global AI market is set to grow to about $300 billion. But NLP is $42 billion out of that. And I would say that's even conservative because a lot of the interaction models that AI is able to unlock, hyper-personalization at scale, the ability to interact and to give better recommendations, more personalized content, a lot of those things actually happen with some type of NLP interface and interaction point. So the market for NLP might look small, but really is a catalyst for larger change within the global AI market. And some of the key places where we see potential revenue sources in healthcare, where there's a huge opportunity, we can see, for example, automated chat-based telemedicine. You're somewhere very far away. This actually happened to me. I was on an island and I wasn't able to see a doctor because they're, it's very far away. And I actually took out my phone and I had cell signal and I started chatting through a telemedicine app with what I thought was a doctor. I later understood that that was actually an AI that was helping understand what the problem that I had was in order to bring me to the right medical professional to give me help at that point in time. Personalization and predictive medicine, based on a full understanding of your electronic health records, is a huge opportunity. Think of the treasure of information that's currently held within millions of documents on individuals. And oftentimes, we don't have the ability to connect all the dots, but AI can. And faster time to market for clinical trials. This became extremely clear during COVID-19, where a lot of large pharmaceutical companies and even smaller ones invested a lot of money in order to be able to resurface opportunities for better treatments for COVID or intermediary treatments while the vaccines were being initially created and then distributed. And really, we're seeing large companies like 3M, Microsoft, Nuance, and Health Fidelity taking the lead in terms of building out new use cases that generate revenue sources for healthcare providers and the healthcare ecosystem. In finance, we've seen that this has been a place where there's probably the most shakeup in recent times and where there's been a really strong investment already in NLP solutions. Why? Because if you're able to get a little bit of an edge in the stock market or if you're able to read that one line that nobody saw in a news report somewhere really far away that gives you an idea of the trend that's happening, well, you can develop new trading strategies. And you can actually do that at a global scale, which wasn't the case before, because analysts had to manually read and digest information. Now you have millions of data points coming in and an NLP model that can actually digest that and give you the insights that are relevant. Compliance and KYC as a service. We see that traditional finance companies are actually switching their business models, that they're not just holders of money or that they're not just investors, but they really become service providers of core technology. And we see this around the world. One of the best examples is there's Chinese companies like Alipay that are going out and they're actually offering some of their services, software services, as a service out to other markets. And so that's really something compelling, and it generates completely new revenue streams that didn't even exist before. And even automated audits, from ingestion to certification. That whole industry is about to be shaken up by NLP advances. And we see with new regulations coming into place, there's also going to be a framework to help, really frame new trends that come up in NLP, applying applications for credit worthiness, customer service and advice, data enrichment, and search and discovery for competitive intelligence. All those things are very sensitive and valuable for companies. And so those are use cases that are coming to the forefront, and where, for example, in the EU, they're starting to put regulations or at least frameworks around credit worthiness and assessments to figure out, is this the right thing to do? And are we taking the right steps? And so companies like Deloitte, ING, Vanek, and Eigen Technologies are really riding this trend and riding these waves to develop and to output new sources of revenue. The legal market, again, another place where we see a lot of movement because it's text-based. So lawyers oftentimes have codified ways of writing out contracts or judgments, and it's very well structured, very well organized, and all of those things can be actually now automated because of NLP, even all the way up from review to negotiation. And there are even now tax compliance simulators. So you input information in a text base, and it tells you how much taxes you can pay or not pay, and what kind of measures to take and how to structure it by understanding all of the tax treaties that are in place. And it's also a way of increasing access to justice. So there's a real opportunity to ensure that more people get access to fundamental legal information. How? Because through a chatbot or through a natural language process interface, you can actually learn much more and have an interaction point at scale. And there's a company called Do Not Pay, who actually implemented NLP and was able to contest tens of thousands of parking tickets automatically, saving people hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so we see trends in legal research, contract review, document automation, and even legal advice. So even the most, what we would say is like the places where there was the highest barrier to entry and probably the most complexity, like legal or finance or healthcare, we see that those industries are being shaken up. And in retail and e-commerce, these are use cases that we are part of our lives now. Voice-based shopping. Who hasn't spoken to an AI-based assistant, whether that's Siri, Alexa, or others? And what happens is that, that voice-based shopping is a completely new way of operating. Personalized upselling on customer service interactions. Imagine you're speaking with somebody and the computer understands what you're saying, your sentiment, etc., and is able to adjust what the person on the customer service line is offering you as a service or as an upsell. And richer product recommendation based on sentiment. We see, a plethora of retailers and e-commerce companies really looking for the best way to recommend. And sometimes when you feel a certain way, you buy something. So it's a really valuable and incredible tool to really deploy and develop new sources of revenue. So we see in terms of trends, in-store robots, use voice recognition, chat-based product recommendations, sentiment analysis, and customer service being impacted. And the companies leading the way, really Walmart, Amazon, Etsy, Target. These are names that and you know that they're pushing the envelope in terms of what is possible. So let's talk about what that actually means. So we talked a little bit about, what NLP means for business. We looked at a few markets, so got a high level view, but now let's think about, okay, when you're annotating your data and you're actually delivering output, what does that look like in terms of potential new opportunities? So IBM Watson is an interesting case study. And I'm going to be talking about SAMA case studies because those are the ones that I know and that have been validated, and I understand deeply what they were working on and what their objectives were. So IBM Watson, we helped them improve their chatbot ML model accuracy from a baseline of 79% to 87%, creating a really much more robust and better customer experience with their chatbots. But think about it. People around the world and companies around the world use IBM Watson's chatbot API to power their NLP experiences. So what we were doing by that 10% increase was actually driving multi-million dollars worth of new revenues for retailers, for legal firms, for finance companies that are using IBM's core technology to be able to develop chat-based interactions with their clients. So really, this was at the core of an NLP use case that drove lots of value, not only for the customer that we worked with, but for the end user and for the market more generally. Because IBM Watson and others like it are really the platforms that are driving future revenue growth. Retail Me Not, we helped them improve searchability on their coupon database in real time. So they really had an immense problem, which was that they provide coupon details to users through their website. And we made sure that we verified all of their coupon details and that was provided through a daily API. So what did that allow us to do? Well, it allowed them to increase coverage. It allowed them to deliver more tasks. So ultimately, better searchability of the coupons that they had on their website, but ultimately better customer experience. Because if you're finding exactly what you want as soon as you put in the keywords and as soon as you put in that sentence into the website and you're finding exactly what you want, well, you're probably going to use the product. You're probably going to buy the thing that they have there. So search relevance is core to delivering more value and increasing customer experience. Tribe Dynamics is another case study that I thought was really valuable and interesting because what it did was by harnessing NLP, they were able to quadruple the volume of data that they provided to clients. What does that mean? That means that they were able to serve more customers and expand into more markets, generating significantly more revenue for their business. And so really, they have grown 4x in brands since they started with us in 2018, from 700 brands to 2,600 brands. And they saw a real value in terms of NLP use case being out there. And this business value for them was incredible. And when they came back to us, they said, oh my God, NLP is such a driver of business value and of new revenues for us. We're going to continue to invest. And so companies that are taking that forward-looking view and actually investing in NLP use cases are seeing revenue generation when their data is well annotated and it's well structured. So, this again, for me was really powerful because by making sure that the NLP worked, Claire was able to offer more services to new types of clients in new markets. And for me, that was the testament to NLP can generate new sources of revenues, new types of clients, and new markets for people that harness the power of AI and NLP. But I want to ask you guys a question, and I mentioned that at the beginning, and I want you to think. So the future of NLP is at a critical point. Training data has become its biggest challenge. And there's a really interesting example of a large company, two large companies, in fact, Microsoft and Twitter. So Microsoft's AI research team wanted to put out a NLP chatbot into the world through Twitter to try to interact with the world and see how it would evolve and how it would actually, they thought, flourish and become a great part of the Twitter ecosystem. What happened though was that there were people that started trolling Taya, the chatbot, and they started trolling it by sending it racist tweets, and ultimately that training data made Taya, which was a inoffensive chatbot, into a Nazi chatbot. And so Microsoft took it away, took it off Twitter, because it was creating too much damage for the brand and for the company. It also proved the point that depending on the inputs an AI model has, the outputs can be drastically different. And oftentimes we don't expect what the output can be. So having good training data, trained by people that are well paid and in good conditions and that have an expertise in what they're doing, is key to making sure that your NLP performs and generates the type of revenues and positive reputational uplift that you're looking for. Training data has become the biggest challenge in the implementation and the creation of new revenue in NLP. How come? Because language is ambiguous. If you think about it, if you speak with your spouse or your child or a friend or family, the same word can have completely different meanings. If you're saying it as a joke or it's serious, it can be completely different. And even a small margin of error can have huge consequences. But on top of that, a lack of varied perspectives or proper inputs can corrupt completely data sets and create bias. And this can have a concrete impact on corporate reputation, as well as diminish revenues due to lack of trust in AI. The only way to navigate this ambiguity is having high quality data sets annotated by people that are well paid and represent a diverse perspective. NLP, in my opinion, needs to speak from the voices of all. So SAMA has been pioneering an ethical NLP approach, where we have high quality training data sets for any use case, quicker deployment with AI-powered annotation, and we have perfectly labeled data every time. But on top of that, our mission, the core thing that we do, is help women and youth get out of poverty. Because we believe not only that AI should speak for many voices, but it's a power for good and for change. And right now, in the slums of Kenya and in rural Uganda, people are looking for jobs and opportunities. They want to work, but they're not given those opportunities because they're far away. And oftentimes they don't have access to the internet or computers. So SAMA gives them access, trains them, and hires them as full-time employees, not part of a crowd, in order to deliver value for our clients. And these are people that become experts in some of the industries that I was mentioning before, understand the language, the nuance, but also understand how to give AI a true voice and allow your customers to feel excited about their interaction with NLP. So really turning high quality training data from the start to scale is our mission, and doing that by harnessing the power of markets for social good. This has been something where we've seen it with trusted Fortune 500 companies like Google, Microsoft, Ford, Volkswagen, IBM, TripAdvisor, NVIDIA, Kroger, Walmart, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, eBay, GM, Hella, Getty Images, and Continental come to us for their most mission-critical NLP use cases to drive real revenues for them, their business units, and finally to delight their customers with an incredible AI NLP experience. So please visit our website, and if you want to learn more, contact our sales team. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity to speak here. Look forward to hearing your questions, and this was a wonderful moment, so thank you guys so much.